afternoon. What Joel asked me to speak about today is what does the concept of market fundamentalism mean for us as employees at UW Superior? And how does this ideology impose on our work and our lives on a day-to-day basis? There are numerous ways that this external environment is impacting our campus community. 3 examples that I'm going to touch on today are how this framework undermines what we know to be true about the education that we provide to our students here at UW Superior, how it pushes us into being competitors versus colleagues, and as a consequence, it puts limits on who has access to higher education. My hope is that by taking a step back and shining a light on some of these external factors that are impacting each of us, no matter what your position is here on campus, that this can possibly provide some context about the current environment that we are all in. So first, this framework undermines what we know to be true about the education and the experience that we provide here for our UW Superior students, which for us can result in cognitive dissonance. On the one hand, we all know that this school is quite a gem. Students enrolled at UW Superior are provided with a high-quality education and surrounded with people who really care about them and care about their success. It would be difficult to find someone on this campus who is not passionate about their work or who does not care about the welfare of our students. And we may all show this in different ways, but I do believe that we are all very committed to what we do here at UWS. And frankly, why wouldn't we be? We have all seen our students grow and change in really positive ways during their time here, and we have seen them go on to do great things outside of the walls of our university. Collectively, we know that the public education provided to our students is a worthwhile investment to us as a society. But on the other hand, and externally, we are constantly being challenged and questioned about the value of our practice. The ideology and propaganda that has successfully convinced many of us to believe that there is no reason to support and to value public funding for higher education. And obviously, from the budget cuts to the budget lapses, we all know some of the real-world financial impacts that this framework has recently and historically has had on our campus. These contradictions are difficult and can create cognitive dissonance for us. And this dissonance can lead to feelings of confusion and being miffed and being discouraged. It also, I believe, undermines our practice and the public education that we provide here at UW Superior. Second, market fundamentalism pushes us into being competitors versus colleagues, as I had mentioned before. A basic underlying principle of market fundamentalism is to focus on the individual. We may not be cognizant of this external push for us to focus on ourselves and not worry about others, but it is happening. A consequence of this approach is that it encourages individuals to put what is best for them ahead of what is best for our society. And on our campus, this approach can manifest in a competition amongst programs and amongst colleagues. And this ideology can push out individuals or programmatic interests ahead of what is best for the campus community and ultimately what's best for our students. Instead of having colleagues, we all become competitors, and this is especially true when resources are scarce. Ultimately, this approach can hurt morale on campus and lessen our ability to serve the needs of our students. And I believe what Martha had mentioned this morning at the opening event is that this is already in some ways happening, it seems, on our campus, and perhaps some of you here today have already experienced some of this in one form or another. And third and last, this ideology puts limits on who is able to pursue higher education, which impacts all of us as a society. For me, this happens to be one of the biggest and the scariest consequences of this approach, and it's also one that's near and dear to my heart personally. Many of our students here at UW Superior are first-generation college students, and many of our students come from families who do not have many resources. I would bet that none of the students on the panel this morning have trust funds, and I would make the inference that most, if not all, of these students are dependent on student loans to finance their education, which is so common these days. As Joel demonstrated earlier on his graphs, there has continued to be less support and less financial support for the UW system over the last 30 years for public education. And as Ben discussed, this is having real consequences on our current students on our campus today. Many of our students are working 2 and 3 jobs to support themselves and to pursue their higher education and to get their education from here at UWS. The decline of public funding to invest in our current students is having an impact on their ability to be present and get the most out of their educational experiences while they're here. Further, it's impacting what they're able to do after they leave college. I know for myself, as a first-generation college student, coming from a poor family, I had to take out loans to finance my undergraduate and graduate studies. I did have some scholarships to help lighten the load and the debt that I took on. But when I married my partner, who also was a first-generation college student and who also took on undergraduate and graduate student loans, we're now facing debt that amounts to more for our student loans a month than it costs for our house payment. This is true not only for obviously myself, but for a lot of students and what they face after they leave our institution and other institutions nationwide. This is becoming more and more of a case, and it will continue to be the case for some time unless something changes. But what really worries me is those who will continue to have access to higher education. I worked for a few years at an institution over the bridge before I came to UW Superior, within the current position that I'm in. And I wanted to come back to UW Superior, and the reason being is because there's something really unique and really special about our students here. Our students are different. Many of our students come from low income and middle class backgrounds. And what I'm most scared of is that more and more of our youth and our next generation will not be able to attend UWS, not because they're not bright, and not because they don't have the potential, because they simply cannot afford it. And those possible students will not be able to actualize their potential because of their upbringings and because of their financial means. And I just think that that's simply scary. And it's scary because we as a society, we're losing future doctors and future lawyers and city representatives and teachers. We could be losing someone who finally cured cancer. We could be losing the next Dr. King or Mother Teresa. We could be losing the next governor of California. Overall, this lack of investment stunts us from actualizing our potential as a society.